Hello, friends. I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope it's fantastic. My voice is almost fully recovered, which is great. I just a little bit left. A little raspy still. Malia's feeling worse. It's not COVID, which is good. Probably a sinus infection, which is not good. Right? Those suck. So she's been kind of laid up for the last few days. Look what we got. Yet another RPG. It turns out when you ask the internet, when you say to the internet, "Hey, I've just learned about one-shot RPGs. Do you have any recommendations?" Everybody has a different one, and I've bought them. I bought everything that's been recommended to me so far, which is of the printed versions. That would be Dungeon World, Blades in the Dark, Postcard Index Card RPG, and now Ironsworn. These are the ones that I keep seeing recommended. People have also recommended sci-fi stuff, but I don't care about sci-fi stuff. I don't want to roleplay sci-fi stuff. And then I've bought I don't know how many not printed versions. There's lots of PDFs on DriveThruRPG or Itch, I think. Anyway, this is Ironsworn, and this one's really interesting so far. I'm going through character generation right now. The whole starting chapter, like with what I've discovered with most of these modern RPGs, is that there's a beginning like quick start guide, and I get it. It's kind of it's neat, but it's more like here's how this game differs from everything else. Now let me explain that to you in the next chapters, which is okay. It's just not very useful to me because it's not a complete picture. But in this one, this is a dramatic departure from a lot of the other, I guess, powered by the apocalypse games. This is kind of a powered by the apocalypse style of game. I mean, it says in the beginning, mechanics and creative inspiration are from Apocalypse World, Dungeon World, whatever. So this uses a lot of terminologies and stuff from Apocalypse World and Dungeon World and all that sort of stuff. But it has a very different approach. And one of the things that was interesting to me about this is you can play this guided. That would be like a traditional game with a GM. You can play this co-op where there is no GM and you're just telling a story together, and you can play this solo. I mean, you could argue that any game could be played co-op and solo. You don't necessarily have to have a GM. You would have to just figure out a mechanism for arbitrating what happens in the world. But this, it's kind of baked in. There are specific things that the GM can do, and there are oracles, which is kind of like the leave it up to chance. And there's a bunch of tables that you can say, I want to roll a combat action. So we can roll and see what happens. It also uses decks of cards. So this is my first time. So this stuff all came from DriveThruRPG. And this is my first time seeing their cards as a long-time purchaser of the Game Crafters components. I can tell you that these are underwhelming. These are just kind of, they're okay. Like they're just kind of cards. Nothing. There's nothing special about this, I guess is what I'm trying to say. There doesn't necessarily have to be, and that's okay, right? Like it doesn't need to be something special. I'm not trying to disparage people from using the service, but these are just, here you go. Here's some general purpose cards. So this game, I got both Ironsworn and Ironsworn Delve. So Ironsworn is the idea of the Ironlands, which are kind of a Fae realm where everything goes. Like it's fantasy, just generic. But there's no cities. It's more like little steadings, little homesteads, little villages. and iron is very important as you make vows to it, and you know it's precious. It's a precious material. Delve adds dungeons to this universe, so I guess I haven't got that far yet, but I guess in this version there's not really any how do you approach a dungeon where so this supplement teaches you how to kind of create that. And then the Lodestar, a reference guide for the Ironsworn RPG. This is basically exactly what it says. It's kind of a GM reference. It's a move reference. It's a Oracle reference, a table reference. So it's just it pulls out a lot of the material, puts it in a handy little place. So as a GM, if I run this, I have this handy. And then I honestly don't know what these cards do. I do know that they are used in all versions of the game, and that they are important to the game, but I don't really know what they do. I know some people said, you know, just print your own. I don't really feel like dealing with that, so I've got, this is the Ironsworn's Assets Master Set. So these are, I'm assuming, things that you can get along the way, and so part of it, here's rituals, here's paths, there's different decks in here. I'm assuming that this is just a way to track, like, all right, I have a cave lion now as a companion, and here's what the cave lion does. And so the interesting thing about this game is the dice mechanic is very weird. I don't know that it's better or worse than anything else. It's a little bit more complex than I would like. One of the things that I really enjoy about Dungeon World and Blades in the Dark is the simplicity of the 2d6 system. You just, you know, 6 or less you fail. Greater than 10 you have a success, and anything else is a moderate success or a partial fail or whatever you want to call it. I like that. This has you rolling 2d10 and a d6, and then you add modifiers to the d6, and you're trying for the d10s to be lower than the d6. Okay, I guess. The interesting thing about this is the characters are very, very different. Like the system as a whole is a very different approach that I've not seen before. You have 5 stats. They're not your traditional strength, intelligence, dex, wisdom, charisma, whatever. They are very unique to this setting. Everything is progress tracked based, not necessarily point based. You're not trying to gather experience. You're just trying to gather tick marks on a progress track. That includes like taking down an enemy. The enemy's health is a progress track, and you're checking marks off of this progress track. That includes leveling up and getting skills, like you're or fulfilling vows or quests or whatever. Everything is this checkmark based thing, and then you have these like running kind of not modifiers, these running measures of your character's. I think one is called momentum, for instance, and it's like they suggest just using a paperclip along the side of your character sheet to track your momentum. And so it's very board gamey, in my opinion. This is a very board game-like RPG without the board game combat. But there's these trackers and stats and things that you're keeping. It's maybe not necessarily board game. Maybe it's more video game-like, where you have an inventory of everything. You have a progress bar for everything. Like, it's more that style. And it's interesting so far. I think that if I end up playing this, I will probably play solo first to try to see if I like the system, if I want to try to introduce the system. The thing about Dungeon World, I'm playing it with my kid and I'm enjoying it. I think maybe we'll talk about it next week. It is different in... one of the ways it's different is that as a GM in that game, you have a strict set of rules that you're intended to follow as a GM. It's very difficult to do with just one other player. Like, you need a kind of a group arbitration, so that the GM isn't just dictating, right? So maybe this will be a little bit better for small groups. In fact, this book tells you it's intended for smaller groups, like 4 or less people, including the GM if there is one. So maybe we'll try to keep playing this Dungeon World thing, and if it doesn't work out, we might switch to this. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know where this is all headed. Currently, I'm exploring ideas. That's part of this. I have an RPG idea in my head that's nothing like any of this, and I might try to work on it at some point in the future. So this has been more research than anything. But I appreciate all the recommendations. I appreciate this. I'm going to read all of this over the next probably couple of days. We'll see where it goes. What do you got going on this weekend? My kid has a game tonight. It's playoff season for football. She's in the band. And then tomorrow, I'm hoping I've got like 6 board game videos I need to film. I'm going to do 2 tomorrow for sure. That's the plan at least. I say for sure. Anyway, I'm hoping to film board game videos, get back to that. It's been like 6 or 7 weeks since I last published a board game video. So we're going to try to hit that running again. And maybe do some role playing. What do you got going on? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you again Monday. Today's word you should know sounds smart as supersede. It is a verb meaning when one thing takes the place of another or renders the former obsolete. The classical laws of physics were superseded by quantum laws. Stephen Hawking, a British theoretical physicist. Supersede, S-U-P-E-R-S-E-D-E. Do modern RPGs supersede Dungeons and Dragons for you, or are you always and forever a faithful D&D person?